Hey, it's us.
Hello.
So we are backstage and we are continuing our Kiki. All right. So we actually got a Twitter question for you from @MamaCookin, who wants to know more about the Safe Sex mini film. Can you tell us what it's about?
Okay. The lady that I met at the clinic, she actually made the video inspired of me. She wrote the role for me, and I became the lead. It was pretty much having two sides of what you're supposed to do to keep yourself safe, and then the other part is what happens when you don't. So it's pretty much if you have unprotected sex, you end up with this, and this is the right way that you're supposed to do it to keep yourself safe when you have sex in any type of sexual contact to anybody.
How did you come into that?
I just met her at the finish. She just randomly was there asking the servants questions. She had a servant and she was asking her, do you want to do it? We had a long conversation on top after we were serving. And she was like, okay, well, I'm coming to the movie, the mini movie, which would be part of it. I said, sure. I like doing stuff. So, I was excited to do it. And then that's when she said she was making a safe sex education mini movie for the LGBT community. What can happen, what's the right way to do it. And we had our own short little documentary. What's the right way?
What is it called?
At the end of the day, actually I have the DVD at home. I'm posting it.
Oh, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on.
I know that you moved here from Jamaica when you were 16. Can you tell us a little bit about what life is like in Jamaica for transgender and
Horrible. It's extremely horrible. It's more of you being afraid than you are comfortable. It comes down to, like I was saying in my story, trans LGBT community is not safe in the period. Daylight or nighttime, they're coming after you. So in definitely being trans, they feel like you're tricking them. And you're a woman, and if you find out the difference, and then you get mad. It's all I want, especially
when you say they?
the community. It's very against it, strongly.
If you had, I'm sorry, am I skipping over anything?
No, that was
So,
oh, this one. Oh, we can ask that. Sorry. So you mentioned that the rainbow flag doesn't have enough colors to represent who the youth really are. So who are the youth really?
Who are you? The voices. They are the inspiration. They are our future. They are our future doctors, lawyers.
How do you insert the flag when you make a song?
Yes.
Yeah, we make a song. Or like a montage.
it's better than born this way.
Exactly. I mean, I heard this song. Great song. We need that.
Well, thank you for joining us, and you did an amazing job. It's such a
You too.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diana. For viewers at home, she's wearing heels. This high.
Yeah, there's much higher than mine.
She's like 8.5 feet tall.
But there is one that's in those legs. So.
And
Hello.
coming in now is Dominic.
Hello. Oh. All right, so we have a Twitter question. So this person wrote, so about hearing about your family issues and accepting your masculinity, it really close to home for this person? And in what ways is trans visibility important to you?
I think trans visibility is super important because a lot of the reflection that we have is very like is very much like, I felt like I was born in the wrong body, now I have to transition to this other body or this other. I feel like there needs to be more of a narrative of like, there's so many different types of trans people out there, there's so many different types of ways to express your masculinity, femininity, and all encompassing just like identities and being able to like express your own stuff is really important. I think right now the media is very much stuck in this binary of like this person was once assigned male or female birth and now they're male or female. And I don't think that's healthy or a very valid representation of the trans community.
I think also we fixate more on men transitioning to the opposite.
Yeah.
So when you were telling your story, I was very interested in hearing what you had said. I was like, I've never gotten that other perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Like just like having transmasculine or being that from that other end. I thought it was very interesting, and I think that
it's just hard when like the spotlight isn't being given to those people, because these stories and voices are out there. It's just like right now in the media, a lot of the part of the media just isn't choosing to listen to.
Right. Trending rather, which
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
How important do you think it is to include and consider intersex identities in this conversation?
I think it's extremely important because for me, I didn't know that I was intersex from birth. I found out later in life, it's common for people to find out later in life. It's also common for people to find out right before because being intersex is also a spectrum. So for me, I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which basically means that my ovaries function properly, so hyperandrogenism. So when I was going through puberty, I was developing secondary sex characteristics of both male. And so that actually affected my, ability to get hormones to transition because they needed to, figure out I already have hormone imbalance, so what are we going to do now with my, need to medical transition? And also just the fact that when I go into certain spaces, like I'm in an all trans space, we'll often do breakout groups. And I remember one time they were asking, okay, step forward if you are intersex or intersex. So the intersex community is even smaller than a lot of other communities that are involved in a lot of trans spaces. And it often gets overlooked because, it's often something that isn't visible because sex is something that's really private. And whether or not someone chooses to share that is their own personal, opinion or need to share that. So I think for me personally, when I found out that I was intersex, I did a lot of research about like how it affects my life and like how it can affect other people's lives. I very much was like, okay, I need to start talking about this too. Because also with my parents, they thought that I was taking like street hormones, like testosterone, because I had a mustache and like facial hair under here. I was very much like stocky and broader, and it affected my periods. When I would get my period, it was like every 3 months and like every 3 days. So it was interesting, like figuring out like yes, I'm trans, but I'm also intersex. So how those are also intersectional and play into like my trans identity. Here I am, so valuable yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Right.
No cash.
I know, right? I mean, we were just talking out there about, stuff that trans people go through that it's like unaware to cis people. Like we were talking about binding, well, I specifically talking about binding. How when I used to bind, I didn't have when I first started binding, I started out with a basement kit. So I would just go at and like I was in deep home, so I was full, like I had a lot there. And I ended up breaking 3 ribs because of it. And just not having the access to like go to my parents and say, hey, can I buy a safer like version of doing this? Instead I had to like just stay to myself and be like, okay, like I really dysphoric about my chest, so I need to do something. And I just remember like even after I broke my ribs, I still kept walking it permanent damage to my ribs. So we were just talking about that, and I think it's important to know that like financial stability is a big issue for a lot of people in this community. But yeah, I don't know right now, but
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much,
awesome, nice talking
Dominic.
to y'all.
You're here backstage at the LA LGBTQ Center. They're in this cement
No lighting.
with no natural lighting, and also forgive our skin tone.
Yeah.
We should tilt it back this way so it's just.
Hello.
Hi, Genevieve.
Taller than all of us.
Yes, no.
I miss the high heels memo.
I guess I should have brought mine. I missed that. That's why I'd be like, anyway, so you talked a little bit about feeling unsafe using public restrooms. So how do you think we can make our restrooms safe for everybody?
Well, honestly, this is confusing. I believe in love, and I think that we need to start teaching people to accept. And I don't think it's happening enough in our schools, because in my own personal experience in middle school, I've had knives pulled out on me, I've been threatened, I've been phone called, everything. And that's part of the reason why I was so afraid to use the restroom. And I think that the hatred that's embedded in us, that's taught to us, needs to stop. I think that would really help. So it's a problem, but it's my answer.
You and I were having breakfast together a little bit, lunch actually, and talking a little bit about community. This is a weird way of community. But I was wondering if you could go and go with it, what that means to you.
Well, so once I found out who I was as a trans woman, I started befriending people that are part of our community, the LGBTQ community. And once I did that, it helped me feel more comfortable with myself. And then we created this bond, and it was like, together we could walk through a crowd and be completely fine. Do you get me? But when we walked alone, we felt scared, we felt anxiety and all of that. And it wasn't until, we built these strong bonds and we walked down the halls together that nobody wanted to mess with us, and nothing mattered. It all just went away. And then one of those friends, actually years down the line, just recently I was homeless and she took me in for 3 months. So because of creating that bond, I had somewhere to go.
I think that's I feel like also even though I don't work on I think it's just, when you have your team with you, there's just really nothing you can't help with. And so important, I think, especially for people who don't have, the relationships with their families that they should have. I think that, those relationships with your friends are, the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked a little bit about sleeping in your car in your speech. Do you have anything that you would go back and say?
Well, sleeping in the car. I would tell myself to do exactly what I did and just stick it out and don't. Because when I stepped in my car when my mother turned me away from man, it was heartbreaking and I wanted to fight. I wanted to hurt him really bad and make sure that didn't happen. It was a very high likelihood that I would. for him because of it. So I would go back and tell myself, just, stick it out. It's only a couple of nights, and you get out of it. And now, like, everything's finally falling into place. So, yeah.
How's your work with the mental health?
It has definitely given me, like, more of like a sense of security, knowing that there are people out there that will help us and will help future generations so not have to go through what we've gone through. And I'm just always all about helping others, and the fact that Lab Legal is helping my case with LA County and foster care system so that no other foster youth will have to go through what I went through in foster care. I think that is amazing. I mean, it really warms my heart.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah. Bye.
No.
Hey.
Hello.
The seat, the hot chair.
We're here backstage, State of Out Youth with
Okay. So you talked a bit about safe spaces. So how do you think service providers can better create intentionally safer spaces?
Service providers, videos now.
No, I can't, because that's the way we have to. Sorry. I guess any provider. Or how do you just think in general people can create
Safer spaces. I feel like there should be honestly more community outreaches where like organizations could actually go within our schools and offer these like services to us. As you say services, the first thing that pops into our mind is these events. So I feel like DCFS also needs a lot of training. They need to learn how to prioritize. I guess students like are about to become homeless. I feel like students should always be prioritized. That's kind of it. I feel like outreach, community outreach would be great.
What is being an activist mean to you? Or how has it affected you?
It's actually been a spark plug, honestly. It's motivated me to do more, to go into classrooms within my high school and kind of let them know what's going on in high school, kind of let them know, and kind of have a grasp around the school climate and kind of like know how to work around things. So I feel like it's been very important.
Where do you see future John?
I actually want to join LAP, so when I'm 21, I have to do something like that. But yeah. Yeah. So
We're just two old hags.
You're literally bags in the corner.
But yeah, I do plan to join LAP around 21, and hopefully.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna call you when I have a traffic, when I have a ticket. So get me out of it. Like, get Johnny on the phone. I think these parking tickets disappear.
I hope that the work that you do is slightly more.
No.
Well, I love it, and thank you for joining us back here, Johnny.
I would just like try to be in the police academy and see if I can get.
Just to be able to push out water.
Just to see if I can get.
Just a calling.
On the wall, like,
Yeah.
that's the target.
I like you to shoot.
It's like a.
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
how are you?
I'm doing well.
Thanks for waiting, and thank you all for waiting 10 minutes.
You are the last. That's what you have to do. Okay, so you spoke you spoke a bit about taking on too much. So what does that kind of self-care look like for you now?
I mean, I'm still trying to really develop what that looks like, but what it's involved so far has really been like, making sure I'm seeing my therapist regularly, even when I don't want to, even when I feel like I'm fine. Being like, all right, like keeping that relationship going. Knowing that if I'm not feeling this person, I can change and it'll be right to get a different therapist if I want to. And really, like taking time to do something for myself, whether that's taking myself out, whether that's, just me sitting at home, eating some ice cream, watching like TV, but like, something that can be, that gives myself comfort, and, of course, I guess the last part of that would be, I guess with my spirituality, I mean, I'm Buddhist, so it's, it's very much like about the universe and everything. It's not really about like a God, really. But it's just, that is something that's really, I guess, helped encourage me and just keep me grounded and stuff. But I mean, it's still something that's really developing. I mean, self-care is a real challenge.
We'll talk about it. You and I were talking a little bit about arts earlier, arts and activism. I assume those two worlds intersect for you.
They do. Artivism, yes. One of the things I've been doing for the past couple of years now is really telling not just my story, but other people's stories, just around HIV for the moment, through dance. So that's that started off as like doing like a duet that I did with this friend. It was like it was just to kind of encourage people to like get tested with their partner, and like start conversations about people. People watched it, they were moved, and it started a great dialogue. And that just turned into me actually doing a whole event that was a show that was like all dance and like poetry and stuff, and it's just kind of grown from there. So I mean, I'm currently actually working on a project with the fellowship I'm doing with the Human Rights Campaign, and it's called the Catharsis Project. And basically, it's basically it's like a timeline, I guess, of like the epidemic from when it started to where we are now. And it's like different stories and different like things that happened that like actually happened. So that's kind of been what I do. It's like using that as a tool to educate people, not just those that are watching it, but those that are doing it too.
Is there any place in people in LA?
You can look it up on YouTube if you look up Thomas Davis, The Long Wait by Thomas Davis, and that'll kind of take you to everything. There will be something coming up in December. I'll have an event for that. But I mean, it's kind of most of my stuff is online right now. I mean, hopefully I'm getting everything filmed at the end of the month, so that'll make it easier to actually like share stuff with people and be able to like get it right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
What's your biggest source of strength these days? Nothing necessarily.
No, yeah, that's a tough one. It's just in the few friends that truly have my back that I know want to see me win and want to see me succeed. A lot of strength comes from them encouraging me, but I realized too that you can have all that you want, but really you need to get that from yourself. So I've just been trying to find that. And been really finding the strength in myself too, and finding where that is and what I have to uncover to find it.
And where do you see yourself to achieve?
Yes, I want to have an organization that uses art to educate people about issues and call for social change and justice, and speak up for those that can't speak up, and educate in a way that feeds both sides of people's brains. It feeds the creative side, but also gives them information at the same time. So I want an organization that does that. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, Thomas.
Of course, thank you.
And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Come on.
Bye. Until next time.